As the human population increases, as does the amount of food necessary to sustain this increase. The ways in which the animal agricultural industry is producing large quantities of food based on these high demands has a massive effect on our planet. On average, each Canadian eats approximately 200 to 300 grams of meat every day. Nutritious or not, the consumption impacts human health. As approximately 78.1% of the world's population eats meat products, the livestock industry is an extremely important aspect of the agricultural business. The questions that I had while researching this report included the following. How does the consumption of meat affect human health? How does supporting the livestock industry by purchasing and consuming meat affect our environment? Nutrition has a direct impact on health. Eating whole foods rich in nutrients has been shown in many studies to increase the quality and span of life. Poor nutrition, on the other hand, can instigate and worsen a number of serious health issues like heart disease, obesity, and some types of cancer. To analyze the association between meat consumption and health, the intake of meat products by country will be compared to various health issues that country faces, including obesity, heart disease, and cancer. This country displays the annual meat consumption by country. The amount of meat citizens residing in different countries eat varies by a substantial amount. The range for this data was 116 kilograms per person per year. This means that if health issues have any correlation with meat intake, there should be some sort of observable pattern. The amount of meat Canadians eat per person per year is approximately 94 kilograms. There is a small yet observable positive correlation between the rates of obesity in a country compared to the amount of meat that country consumes annually. The correlation value is 0.6641. Obesity has been linked to many chronic health issues. Since the likeliness of obesity rises when meat consumption rises, high meat intake could also be linked to these issues. This chart shows a comparison between heart disease mortality rate and the annual consumption of meat by country. As you can see, there is absolutely no correlation between these variables. This chart shows the comparison between the meat consumption by country and the new patients diagnosed with cancer in that country in the same year. Although there is only a very small positive correlation value of 0.405 in this dataset, I would argue that it is still relevant. This is because, as I stated in my introduction, only some cancers are linked to nutrition. This would explain the small but visible correlation between greater meat intakes resulting in greater chance of cancer diagnosis by country. To purchase and consume meat products is to directly support the livestock industry. Unfortunately, the massive population of livestock and their necessities have been accused of causing a number of environmental issues. One of these issues include greenhouse gases. The greenhouse effect is when greenhouse gas molecules continually absorb and release energy from the sun. This helps sustain temperatures suitable for life on Earth. However, too many greenhouse gas molecules cause temperature to rise in the environment uncontrollably. Another issue is water waste. Only 2.5% of the Earth's water is considered to be fresh water, usable for humans and other species. 70% of fresh water found in rivers and lakes is used for agriculture. To produce 500 grams of beef, 6,810 liters of water is used, while producing the same quantity of corn only requires 402 liters of water. Another environmental issue is deforestation. Animal agriculture is the leading cause of habitat destruction. The Amazon rainforest in Brazil is currently suffering due to deforestation for the benefit of livestock. Livestock is also to blame for ocean dead zones. These are hypotoxic areas in the ocean which marine life cannot survive due to oxygen depletion. Agricultural farms in Louisiana and Mississippi release their waste into rivers that lead to the Gulf of Mexico, which happens to contain an increasingly large dead zone. To examine the affiliation between livestock production and the environment, Livestock inventory and quantity will be compared to water usage, air pollution, deforestation, and ocean pollution. This data shows the livestock inventory by province, which you can see has a large range. The range of cattle between provinces is 4,913.3 thousand head, meaning that there should also be a large range of severity of environmental concerns in each province. Alberta has by far the largest cattle quantity and thus should have the highest amount of environmental issues. This chart illustrates the greenhouse gas emissions by province, and similarly to the range of quantity of cattle from the previous chart, there is a large range in greenhouse gas emissions in different provinces. Alberta's greenhouse gas emission is larger than 98.96 in comparison to other provinces, and from the other chart, their cattle inventory was 99.29% higher than the other provinces. This is an illustration of livestock inventory and greenhouse gas emission by province. There is a fairly strong positive correlation with a value of 0.786. The coefficient of determination for this data is 0.617. Of course, there is a strong positive correlation value between farm water use and the quantity of livestock of 0.9497. However, since the coefficient of determination is only 0.9019, we can conclude that the different types of livestock require different amounts of water. The average amount of farm water use in each province is 27,917,000 cubic meters. However, the provinces also have a large variation. In this chart, you can see the evolution of quantity of cattle in Brazil. There has been a steady and ongoing increase in the quantity of cattle from 1990. And in this chart, you can see the total forest coverage in Brazil has been steadily decreasing. Deforestation leads to habitat loss, depletes species biodiversity, and leads to extinction. As of now, our planet is undergoing the largest mass extinction in 65 million years. Finally, this chart illustrates the cattle inventory in Louisiana and Mississippi and the size of the dead zone on the Gulf of Mexico. There is a small positive correlation value between these variables of 0.5889. However, the coefficient of determination is only 0.3468. There is clearly other factors contributing to the size of this dead zone. Since most common meats like beef and pork are known to be high in cholesterol and fat, two nutrients that cause unhealthy weight gain, it could be suggested that consuming high quantities of meat products can cause obesity. Obesity has been proven to lead to other health issues as well, which actually include heart disease and some types of cancer. It is possible that the correlation between meat consumption and heart disease or cancer was not observable because the data that was analyzed was very broad and general. As the quantity of livestock increases by province, as does the amount of greenhouse gases emitted into that province. This is not only due to the fact that cows release methane into the atmosphere, it is also because of the transportation that is necessary for the animal and their feed. Globally, cattle produce approximately 150 billion gallons of methane gas every single day. The exhaust produced due to transportation of agriculture accounts for 13% of the greenhouse gas emissions. As the quantity of livestock increases, of course, so does the amount of water necessary to sustain this increase. This is because animals require water for drinking, cleaning, and also their feed. The amount of water used on farm animals is extensive, and although Canada has an abundance of fresh water, 1/3 of the world is suffering from water shortage. From the data presented, it was also clear that as the amount of cattle in Brazil increased, the amount of forest coverage in Brazil decreased. This is because generally each cattle requires 2 to 5 acres of land, so for every increase in the cattle herd, more forest must be destroyed to sustain the cattle's habitat. Excessive amounts of animal agriculture threatens and endangers species, along with the encouragement of deforestation. And finally, there is a small but positive correlation between the amount of cattle in the states surrounding the Gulf of Mexico and the size of the dead zone in that area. This is mainly due to the waste from the livestock either being directly emptied into the ocean or emptied into rivers that lead into the ocean. Dead zones cause species extinction as well, therefore this is another way that livestock threatens an endangered species.